Peace, family. Thanks for joining me. I'm the Hood Mystic representing www.hoodmystic.com. This is a recording for my YouTube page, and I'm basically just going to update the week astrologically, what's going on between the times of April 11th and April 17th, 2018. Just talk about some things that are happening astrologically and also some of the things that are associated with the things astrologically. And maybe this video may or may not help you in understanding the energy for the week. So, first thing that I really want to talk about is the Mercury retrograde. Now, when we talk about Mercury retrograde, we're not my version of astrology. First, let me break that down because every astrologer has a different version of astrology. Some astrologers are mundane and they look at everything as literal. I'm not that way. I look at things as symbolically. It represents different aspects. And so when I see Mercury, I don't see the planet Mercury. I actually see what it represents. And Mercury represents to me my mind. And so when Mercury is going retrograde, Mercury goes retrograde more than any other planet, meaning that our minds have to reflect and recollect as we go on our journey. Like life works in a cyclical nature. It's not us just ascending and going further and further and further and further to something that we don't know where we're going. Ultimately, life is a cycle. It's repetitive. So when you speak of your mind, sometimes we think that we can just go forward all the time. We think we can just be forward thinking all the time, and we're never reflective. We never deal with that retrospective thought and vibration. So when Mercury goes retrograde, meaning that it's a perfect time for us to be reflective in the thinking of the things that we really want to do. And that's astrologically, but even on a nature level, now that Mercury is going retrograde and the seasons are shifting, things that it, like, the trees are blossoming, the flowers are blooming, and things of that nature, like that could be indicative of your life. Like you can blossom, you can bloom if you properly reflected and dealt with some type of introspection of, okay, what do I really want? Am I doing the things that I really need to do? And that's why people have so much trouble during Mercury retrograde, is because they're so forward thinking. They're always thinking about the next step, and they're never really reflective and saying, like, is this relationship the best one? Is this job the best job for me? Is this business transaction something that I should be doing? So really just kind of reflecting and taking your time with it is very important, very key. And so we have to understand the Mercury retrograde process. A lot of people get bogged down and they just be like, F it, it don't matter, and things of that nature. I'm not like that. I understand the process of it. And so where we are now is Mercury is stationed in direct April 15th, but it is not out of the retrograde zone. It is a Mercury retrograde post shadow where we start to utilize the things that we have gained from doing the reflection work, doing the introspection work. Now, generally, if you haven't done the introspection work and you haven't done the reflective work and you go through this Mercury retrograde post shadow, then things get even worse for you. So really understanding the lessons and understanding where exactly you want to go, because generally if you think you know where you wanted to go 10 years ago and you're still trying to accomplish those goals from 10 years ago and you haven't reassessed, rejudged your plight, then ultimately you are setting yourself up for failure. You have to readjust, you have to realign, because things change astrologically and in real life. People that you knew 10 years ago, you can't even. Give me a second, okay? Thank you. So ultimately, when we get to these points, We have to reassess. We have to rejudge. And it's a positive time. So let's talk about Mercury and Aries, because a retrograde isn't just a retrograde. It does matter the sign. So whenever a sign is in whenever a sign is in Aries first decan, it is entering into a zone, and that is Mars triplicity. And that's because and Aries and Mars is ruled by Aries, and so the first decan is ruled by Mars as well. So that makes it a Mars triplicity. That means it's extra energy. So if you know any first decan Aries, those people are like leaders, like very fire, passionate, driven people. And so ultimately, when Mercury is in this energy, it gives us a fire within our thoughts. We can now think of things on a different level. We can think of things on an originality level, like, because Mercury is our mind. So Mercury is already fast. And so Aries is just fire. So it's just like you put in that. So now it's like combustible, and now you got the pistons like everything is just going. So what are you doing with that energy? 9 times out of 10, people are projecting on you. People are talking shit to you. People are being mean to you because they don't know how to handle the energy. This is creative energy. And the problem with people in general is that they are not creative. They are a function of society. They want to go to work. They want to kick it. And that's it. So ultimately, when it comes to you and you doing your spiritual transformation work, and you around people and they projecting on you and all of this energy, you have to learn personally how to transmute the energy. You have to figure out healthy ways of dealing with this Mercury energy in Aries, because it's hot. And so if you ain't got nothing working on inside of you, no spiritual plan for yourself, generally you are confused by this energy. And now that it's stationed direct, and you haven't got rid of those built up worries, you haven't got rid of those weird ass thoughts, you haven't got rid of the things that you thought you said that you was over, right? Now it's back on again. You know what I'm saying? The things that you thought you was over with, that you really never got rid of, now that Mercury stations back direct, now all of the shit that you thought you was over, you know what I'm saying, comes back. All of the things that you thought you moved past, but you really didn't deal with, now comes back. Like, hey, you understand? But you got to understand, when Mercury is retrograde, that was your time to deal with it. You either did deal with it or you didn't. Now, April 15th, things turn around and face you, and they look direct at you. So what are you going to do about it? Ultimately, it's a powerful time. Mercury is very confident, but it's very quiet. So business dealings and things of that nature, keep that on the low, and just really be confident and just be persistent in knowing what you want. Ultimately, if you don't deal with the things that... Zor, give me a second, please. Please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Some say yes.
Alright, give me a second. So, and now we just want to take time to really shift energies, because what I'm about to talk about next is extremely important, extremely powerful. I'm going to bring this up again, but I just really want to touch on it because it represents a complete and total shift of energy. April 17th, Chiron transit into Aries. Now, this happens every 10 or so years. Every 9 to 10 years, Chiron transits a sign. The last time Chiron was in Aries was April 1968 to March 1977. What's important about April 1968? Dr. King died. And the picture that I got up is a picture of Woodstock, because to me, this embodies the Uranus and Aries energy, where it's just like free love and like a complete and total major shift. The time before that Chiron was in Aries was April 17th to April 14th. I'm sorry. Rewind. The time before that was 1917 up until 1928, and the so-called Harlem Renaissance and the so-called Roaring Twenties and things of that nature. So what we're about to experience when Chiron enters Aries is a complete total shift and push forward in spiritual technology. If you listen to jazz up until, let's say, 1965, from 1965 to 1977, jazz did a complete and total transformation where they really went into the depths and soul of the limits of human expression. 1977, that all changed when things got into more hip hop and disco and pop music and things of that nature. Like, that shit got pushed all the way back to the wayside. So what we really are experiencing is a window in time for us really to really fully express ourselves in our highest frequency, our highest tone, our most unique, eccentric. I'm telling you, just be tremendous, just be powerful, because that's what that Chiron and Aries energy is speaking of. You know, the last time Chiron was in Aries was 1968, April 1st. 3 days later, Dr. King was assassinated. And from that point was just riots, you understand? So imagine the kickoff. Imagine the kickoff the last time Chiron was in Aries. So imagine the kickoff. Imagine all of the different energies swirling going on now. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, April 17th, just be on the lookout. Like, I remember I was listening to the astrology and the brother was saying like shit was going to pop off, and believe me. So it's really a time, you understand? Chiron is the wounded healer, and we just talked about Aries first Decan, where it's originality, creativity. It's not something that is seen like repetitive. It's not a routine. Like, this is a break from the routine, because like I said, Chiron is the wounded healer, and you can heal yourself, you can regenerate yourself through originality. You can revive yourself, like you can recreate yourself. You understand? You can take everything that you've learned, everything that you've built, take it, transform it, and just make it to something incredible. That's what this energy is really inviting us to. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't just going to be for a couple days. It's a 9 to 10 year period for you to just kind of just act the fool and just really see what it is you put on this planet to do. And finally, we want to talk about Saturn Retrograde and Capricorn, April 17th, 2018. So, like I said, every astrologer is different. When you listen to this astrology, it is infused with spirit. You understand? Because I'm a spiritual person. That is something that you either going to like about me or you're going to like not like about me. So, in doing the research of the Saturn retrograde, instantly the energy, the violet flame, you know what I'm saying, just the whole energy of Saint Germain came over me, and it was like, talk about me. So I was like, cool, we gonna talk about Saint Germain and the violet flame. And so this is a quick quote: whatever it takes, beloved, be willing to do it for your victory. Whatever it takes, I tell you, be willing. Do not miss the opportunity to love. And so, in doing further research, I realized that the violet flame is a higher octave of Saturn. Every planet matures over time. Like, your Saturn, when you're a little kid, might be not to sneak into the refrigerator. Then when you're in high school, it might be, you know...
Yeah, I'm still like sneak downstairs.
It's fine. You'll be alright. And then on the second level in high school, your Saturn might be... do your homework. And in college, it might be, you know, find a wife. Every time Saturn evolves, and now you get to a certain age, if you mastered your Saturn, your personal Saturn is everything that you're supposed to do in this life. And you can't really judge it off your mama, your sister, your brother, or anybody around you. You intuitively know what you are supposed to do in this life. And that is something that you got to hold on to, and you got to work with your personal Saturn. Now, I suggest you all deal with Saint Germain and really put together the connections of... Saint Germain is just a personification of Saturn. So if you want to learn more about Saturn in a more spiritual way, you can read on Saint Germain and kind of connect the dots. But ultimately, like I said previously, the violet flames is sometimes identified as a higher energy of the planet Saturn. And Saturn's energy at this level are described as detached and free from an emotional nature. The violet flame frees one beyond the cares of the world. So ultimately, it is a level of understanding. Once you've mastered your emotions, once you've realized that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and if you feel a certain type of way about it, that's your personal problem. But I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And once you're locked into doing what you're supposed to be doing, karma or Saturn or Saint Germain, none of these concepts begin to kick your ass anymore. They begin to reward you. You begin to be successful. You begin to be happy and feeling wonderful, because karma is an energy. Karma is the present moment. Whatever you're dealing with now in this moment is your karma. It has nothing to do with anything you did previously. It's just a realization of this moment. And so if you are aligned with self and you are aligned with the soul and you are doing the things that your soul tells you to do, then your karma makes you feel good. Now, you could be in a bad situation. You could be actually doing the wrong thing, but in this moment, you feel good because your goodness is leading you up for a particular heartbreak, and then that heartbreak you're going to learn from, transform from it. So wherever you're at is your karma. You could be hella rich right now and think that your karma is good, but it could be a setup for you to lose everything so you could gain it all back, or you could be dead broke and your karma could be for you to take that dead brokenness and transform and transmute it to you being extremely wealthy. So karma is just a moment in time that we all deal with and live with. So karma, Saturn is closely related to time. And so, like Saint Germain is said to have many different incarnations. He's said to live for 300 years in France, and a dignitary, and did all of these things. And so this is how the soul really works. The soul is timeless. The soul is constantly evolving. Every lifetime, every existence, you've never fully grasped your full potential of everything that you are, because you only live in this moment. So the reason why you may not be connected to the lifetimes that you had a trillion years ago is because a trillion years ago you were in that moment a trillion years ago, and that's just the reality. That is just Saturn. That is just what we're bound to. And so really understanding that this moment and what we can do and really learn from and really just deal with our experiences from now till September 6th. This is just a phase where you just kind of learn from those lessons and really kind of try to recapture and retackle the moment. And I'm almost finished.
Or you can say you can tell him a fish.
Okay, a fish. And so at a point where you finally learn your lessons and you finally get to a point where Saturn is direct, and now you could move forward from a point of really aligning with your reality. Karma, you may not be fully aware of your spiritual nature. You might honestly feel that you were born on a date in the recent 30 to 40 years, and this is your first incarnation. And so this doesn't apply to karma. Karma applies to a whole spiritual lineage and a whole spiritual realization. Oh, wow. That's interesting. So,
go wash your hands.
Be sure to check me out, man. www.hoodmystic.com. I just wanted a short video, but the kids are desperately needing my attention right now, so I appreciate anybody and everybody who tuned in. And this was just like some fun stuff to kind of like point you in the right direction. So if you got any questions or anything like that, be sure to hit me up at hoodmystic@gmail.com. Also, the website is hoodmystic.com. And also, before I get off, if you want a face-to-face reading, I'm also in the Columbus, Ohio area. Spirit of Tippereth. Be sure to check them out for all metaphysical needs, crystals, incense, altar stuff, readings. Is really going down at the Spirit of Tippereth, and that's at 1273 West Broad Street in Columbus. So check us out, man. We doing a lot, and I just want y'all all to kind of deal with the energy correctly in the right way. So if you got any questions, be sure to hit me up, man. And I'm signing out. Me and the kids is signing out. Y'all have a wonderful day. Be blessed. Peace.